Hello, and welcome back to the Cafe Smash podcast. I'm your co-host Django, joined by my co-host AirPods.
What's going on?
And I'd like to take a second to apologize. I am away from my setup right now, so the mic quality is going to be a little different for this episode, but I'd like to let you know that that's just going to be for this episode, so don't worry about that. And as per usual, time for the shameless plug. Go check out our Instagram, Discord, Twitter. All links to everything are in Instagram bio. And make sure you hit us with that 5-star review. So anyway, let's get into it. AirPods, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Can't complain now that my character has gotten buffed.
Dude, you got so lucky with this.
I got absolutely so lucky. My two of my top three didn't get touched, which I'm not complaining about because they're both high tier and one's top tier. And Junior got absolutely buffed. Probably the best buff in this patch, in my opinion.
I think the only big significant touches Junior's ever gotten since the release of Smash Ultimate.
Yeah, no, he hasn't been touched. I believe his shield got changed once, and that's it. But we saw down smash. It's very good now. It's an option out of parry, frame 12, so it's 3 frames faster. It was frame 15 before. Up B comes out 4 frames faster, which I haven't gotten adjusted to. I've missed so many up B gimps lately. So I have to get adjusted to having a better up B, even though I'm not used to it because we're used to having a worse up B. So I guess it's good in the long run, but it's weird to adjust to. And then what else? All his multi hits got a lot more knockback, either a lot more knockback or the ability to hit all the hits of it, like up smash, got more power and all the hits hit. Rapid jab, I believe, got the angle tweaked. F throw kills now at a reasonable percent. I mean, so many quality of life things for Junior.
And we did go over this and a lot of other stuff in our last episode. So please make sure to go check out the last episode for our full analysis on everything on the last patch, including the big elephant in the room, Minecraft Steve. Really
Yes,
big thing that was added. But talking about previous low tiers, saying that, Bowser Jr. after these buffs is obviously the greatest character in the game now. Top 10, top 5.
What will make him top 5, top 10 is when they allow for 2 Mecha Koopas to be on the stage again, like Diddy and Brawl with bananas.
Oh, that's the worst. You can have one on platform and one just walking around the side.
You can have one walking around on the side and then one in your hand. Can you imagine the edge guarding potential with that?
No, I don't want to imagine that.
Can you imagine setting it up where you have one go to the plat, you throw one at the person, and just pick up the other one and throw it at them?
That's why he should have definitely stayed in bottom
tier.
Terrible. Unfortunately, I don't think I can call Junior bottom tier anymore. He is marginally better than me Sword Fighter now, so that is
marginally better than where he was, because people consider him bottom 10. Some people consider him bottom 15, but he's definitely down there, and now he's a solid mid-tier. And I think mid-tiers are viable to beat top tiers. I mean,
a lot of mid-tiers have good matchups on top tiers, like specific top tiers.
Yeah, they have good specific matchups. Not a good spread necessarily, because Junior specifically gets bodied by anyone that can get in and kind of body him, but with better frame data or speed, like Fox, like Pikachu, Joker, Palu. A lot of these top characters, but you will see him abusing characters that can't get in.
Okay, that's good because your character is actually buffed now, and they're not bottom tier all the way at the bottom like most of the characters we're going to be talking about this episode.
Yeah,
because we've done the high tier episode, and it's time for the long-awaited low tier episode.
The worst of the worst, and
in a great timing too, because the patch just released, and we're fresh off some new changes that really shake up the metagame to make things different.
Yeah, so, there wasn't many significant buffs in this new patch, but there was some characters that definitely got moved around in the tier list. So I think this is the perfect time to speak about a tier list episode right after a patch, because we have a solid 4 months for this to be relevant. Hopefully less than that, because that means we get Rayman faster. But anywho, why don't we just dive into it? I think we can all agree that the absolute worst character in the game, I know many will say Little Mac, but I think it's Ganondorf, and I think you agree with that when we were talking before this episode.
Oh, 100%. I got
He's
Ganondorf all the way down at the bottom.
I
Slot.
think he's the worst in the game. Every heavy is just automatically disadvantaged by the engine of Smash. Smash's pace and just how it's played is this really fast game. In Smash 4, yes, heavies had more viability because that game had a slower pace, but in the ultimate meta game, people are moving so fast that these heavies just can't keep up with their slow speed and their slow airspeed. And Ganondorf, with abysmal frame data, with bad range, with bad speed, with bad airspeed, with a bad recovery, just the perfect storm to be the worst in the game.
I think you can undeniably say, like, I know that Little Mac has purposely a really bad recovery because it has like such a tiny little range, right?
Yeah.
But I think Ganondorf's recovery actually hurts him more than it, helps him whenever he's trying to recover from a little bit lower. Because if you don't immediately grab the ledge with that, people are just going to get it, tech, and then hit you with their forward air, which is always going to hit because almost every forward air will kill you from there. And if you're at a high enough percent, it'll straight up kill you. And if you're not, then you're not going to be able to come back because the recovery is absolutely garbage. Like, it's definitely the worst recovery to me in the game. It's really bad.
Worst is a strong word. I believe Little Mac has a worse recovery. Donkey Kong has a worse vertical recovery. Characters like that. But Ganondorf does have a very bad recovery, seeing as you can, I believe it's called chalk rocking. No? What's it called?
No. I think
Captain
right now
Falcon?
it's being known as the tech check. That's where it's at. The tech check.
Where you could either back air or fair off a tech on the like slanted part of the bottom of the most stages that are legal. And basically, yeah, these characters, if you can do the meta, like the tech right, then you oppress them extremely, and then they just die off of recovering. If you can do it right.
That's just the flaw overall of that character's recovery type. You're just going to be punished every time for trying to get back to the stage. And it's not because they outplayed you or anything. They purposely got hit and then just hit you with any of their moves.
Yeah, when in a matchup that when you're playing against Ganondorf, you want to get hit by his uppy when he's recovering because that makes his recovery worse. Like, I don't think that should be like a strategy that a character should have going against it. Like that just makes him really bad in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I'm saying he has the worst recovery, and that's not even counting like a bunch of other stuff that makes him really bad. Obviously, his nair is really, really good, very oppressive, one of the better nairs in the game.
Yeah, probably his best move in his kit.
Oh, definitely his best move in his kit. But I think the thing that makes him suffer the most out of everything is his movement speed. His airspeed is really, really slow. He has the most gimpable recovery in the game, so there's no way he can use an aerial and also recover at the same time in order to get back to the stage. So, like, he has solid frame data. It's just very, very, very slow, and the worst up tilt in the game, so his anti-air is bad unless you get an up air. And even that, if you miss one, there's so much ending lag that it's just going to be it's just going to be bad from there because you're not going to be able to edge guard them ever. And you can't go out to edge guard because as soon as you use a move and you whiff, you're dead because they're going to punish you back. And if you try to anti-air, you're dead because if you miss, they have a better move to punish you for that.
Yeah, all his aerials are really bad aside from his nair, like you said. I mean, 8 frames on the startup of up air, and that's with like the sweeping hitbox, so you're not even going to hit the apex of that up air probably till frame 9 to 10, and your opponent's already landed by then. I mean, that's 1/6 of a second basically that your opponent has to react. They can fit an air dodge in or input a move, and yeah, it's just Ganondorf can't really have any anti-air game unless you're going to catch him with the big up smash, but that move also has a ton of lag, and it's pretty obvious what you're going to do, so they can either directional air dodge out the way or just do some mix-up to their landing, and Ganondorf can't do anything about it and will most likely get punished due to his poor anti-air game. And then I want to speak on his aerials. I mean, his down air, yeah, it's a cool spiking hitbox. Frame 16 with only 2 frames of being active. It's only or 3 frames, my bad. 16, 17, and 18 are the only frames that it's active. I mean, you're going to go for a 1/20th of a second potential move and risk basically a third of a second of lag to potentially hit a spike, I don't think that's worth it. We see much better spikes on characters that are considered mid-tier to low-tier, such as Donkey Kong, who have much faster startup on their spikes. And Ganondorf just definitely needs extreme frame data ups and extreme speed ups in order to be anywhere close to viable.
Yeah, I don't think there's like one big hot fix they can make that'll turn him into a really good character. Like, I think he's still going to stay below characters like Mac, who we have in front, who are super, super, super fast. They have no air game whatsoever, right? But he also has the fastest smash attacks, most powerful smash attacks. I guess you could count DDDs in the game, like, ever. And his recovery is bad, but his ground game is so good that it makes up for it in the fact that it doesn't make him the worst character in the game. Like, he's still bad, don't get me wrong. Really bad, second worst character in the game for both of us. But I think that there's not enough redeeming qualities. Like, everybody knows, it's a flaw with the design. The design of Little Mac is they wanted an only on the ground brawler, right? Well, they made it, but they kind of made it in a game where all aerials are usually better than some ground moves. So
you can't have a bad recovery in a platform fighter. That's not really how it works. On King of Fighters, sure, Little Mac might be a high tier or a
Little Mac might be the best character in the game on King of Fighters,
especially with his neutral beam mechanic where you kill at 30 through shield. I mean, yes, Little Mac without recovering being necessary, yes, he is extremely good. But since recovery is an air game is honestly more than half of Smash, there's nothing he can do. He has all the worst aerials in the game. I believe a YouTuber made a video of, in a vacuum, what are all the worst like moves you would put on a character, like, and every one of Little Mac's aerials was there. So they had to do the second worst aerials because Little Mac's aerials are just abysmal. They're meant to be bad.
Well, yeah, obviously. Like, they're supposed to make this like brawler character, and he's supposed to be really good on the ground. So for casuals, he's like the best character in the game because no one really knows how to recover anyway. So as soon as you hit him off stage with Mac, they're gonna die. And he's heavy too. But don't get me wrong, all of these flaws are still very, very apparent. By any other character, even a little bit above him on the tier list, they can absolutely juggle him, and he has no safe way to recover. He has a ton of kill options, but that's if you can land, like, it's if you don't just spam smash attacks and you learn to kind of mix up your options. But then again, what's the point of even doing that? At this point, there's no point in playing Mac at all when there's characters that have these mix-up potentials and characters that can kill you super early. They just don't have no recovery and don't die at 0%.
Yeah, if you want to play Mac, if you're looking to win, I wouldn't play Mac, but you still want that like fast feeling character. I feel like Zero Suit, Fox, even Mario would be good options to play instead of Mac. Even Joker. I mean, of course, these characters are all high and top tier, but these characters have already a distinguished kit that you won't have to put as much work into getting these characters extremely good, and you'll be steamrolling people with, versus Little Mac, who you can be one of the best Little Macs in the world and still get bodied by some random at a tournament just because Little Mac is so bad.
Yeah, no, there's nothing that you can make Little Mac into that will make him a different spot than he is without completely reworking him.
Yeah, he needs a new kit or he needs a jetpack. One of the two.
Just give him the item jetpack all the time.
Just give him Min-Min's like extendable arms for recovery.
Oh no! But keep the speed of every smash attack and everything.
Yeah, keep the frame one jab too.
Keep everything the way it is, and then you're perfect. Then you have a perfectly balanced character. Everything is perfectly balanced.
Totally not a top tier then.
Everything is perfectly balanced character.
Yeah, no, this is a prime example of I believe there's 5 pillars of like creating character. It's airspeed, ground speed, frame data, recovery, and then just overall matchups. And this is just an example of a hyper bad air game and recovery game, and it just shows how like important all these aspects together are to making a character. Because say you have a moderate like level for all those, you're still better than a character that has like a 0 rating for one of these, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Or 2 of these in Little Mac's case.
You're going to see a common theme between a lot of these low-tier characters, in that most of them are, I hit hard, but I'm also really slow. Like, that's the case for, I'll say they're on the list, like Incineroar, and like me Sword Fighter is really slow in the air, and Zelda's isn't very fast either, but they have big hitting moves, right? So, an exact example of this is Dr. Mario. It's cut Mario in half, neuter him, and then make him really slow, and his combos don't actually Mario combo. And
Or
you
work.
got Dr. Mario. You got a killing forward air instead of the funny forward air spike, right? And then now you get Tornado, which I admit does kill really quick. But other than that, you have lower airspeed, you have slower frame data, you have just an overall worse character than the counterpart that he is literally based off of. It just doesn't make much sense to me why this character they just dumbed down and made worse, as opposed to making them similar to Mario, but have a different kit that it distinguishes playing them without wanting to just lose the matchup immediately.
Yeah, there's no point to play Dr. Mario in this game. I apologize if you do play Doc, but you're just honestly like hindering your potential performance because Mario is in the game and they're basically the same character, but
Doc is fun though. So
Mario's a high tier. Doc's potentially the third worst in the game. How we rate him, we both probably agree on that.
Mhm.
I personally put Dr. Mario at third, and you agreed with it. You made a couple edits to my list, but we both agreed that Dr. Mario was the third worst character in the game. And I believe Dr. Mario, had Mario not be in the game, yes, maybe this kit would be a little more distinguished. But since Mario's in the game, I don't see a point to playing Dr. Mario. There's no matchup that Dr. Mario has better than Mario, in my opinion.
Definitely.
You think of any?
I don't think. I mean, Mario juggles heavy characters. He can deal with zoning with Cape. He has enough kill options in that he can do lots of forward air nair fair strings. So there isn't, like, if I look at a Mario matchup chart, you're going to see, like, the obvious things. You're going to see, like, Pikachu. He struggles against Joker. Like, fast characters that can kind of out-combo him, I believe he has a bit of trouble with. But then again, Dr. Mario's not going to do any better than that. So is there really an instance in which you would want to play Dr. Mario over regular Mario?
I feel like it would have to be like an instance of like playing Jigglypuff or something where it's this light character with big hurt boxes.
Mhm.
Potentially you'll be killing earlier. But I mean, Mario's just safer overall, better recovery, I believe better speed. And I just don't feel like it's necessary to play Dr. Mario if you're trying to play at an elite level.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. It's Dr. Mario is one of those characters that is just like a dumbed down version of the regular character, which kind of sucks that does happen. But that kind of is the case. That kind of is the case with a lot of the semi-clones, to be honest. And that's also the case for our favorite semi-clone that everyone thought was just a straight up Echo Fighter, Isabelle. I think people wanted Isabelle to be good just because it would be funny to have this little dog that doesn't fight at all be the best character in the game. And people did think Fishing Rod was really good during the reveal trailer, but it's...
Steve's Fishing Rod, maybe.
It's still not a good character overall. They did not do a good job with Isabelle. They made her slow, they didn't give her the right combos, and there's just... Villager has a lot of redeeming qualities in their combo game and the way they do their combos, but Isabella is much more linear and I think less rewarding to play than someone like Villager.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I mean, Isabelle just has a worse edge guarding game. I mean, bowling ball is extremely oppressive with Villager. One of like the most annoying things to play against is Villager, in my opinion. A good Villager is extremely scary. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily a good character either. Villager's definitely mid-tier in my opinion, but still extremely scary to play against.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things they can do with Tree and with Axe now.
They can rack up some damage, for sure. And you'd be surprised, especially with the turnip RNG, where 3 turnips is doing like 20-odd some percent. If you get the triple turnips, which I believe is just 1 in 3 chance for either 1, 2, or 3 turnips, I believe. But I mean, it's just worst villager. That's all Isabelle is, and Isabelle should have been Echo in my opinion, because I would have rather had a potential like newcomer that isn't a basically clone of another character we already had. But
yeah, it's the case with semi-clones. That sucks, but that is just the sad truth about them.
Yeah, I mean, there's no. I like Isabelle. Like, I'll play Isabelle sometime. She's probably like one of my characters I play the most just for fun, like in zero competitive aspects. But I mean, it's just worse villager. But I like playing Isabelle more than villager personally. But that's just for fun. I have no intentions of whipping out an Isabelle or villager at tournament. So yeah, unless it's on random. But
that sucks. I do wish Isabelle was just a tiny bit better in this game, but unfortunately that is just the way it is. So
yeah,
let's move on to another mammal in the same vein, our favorite cat, the exact opposite of this dog. Incineroar is another case of I am slow and I am just going to kill you at ridiculously low percents. But the thing is, Incineroar is the slowest character in the game, period, right?
Yep.
So he's not only going to be, it's going to be really hard for him to follow up on like ground game. He's not going to have any of those like quick combos that string you together. He's just, I'm racking on damage and that's it. But he also has moves that just straight up kill you. Like your side B on the side will kill you at like 60. Doesn't really matter who you are.
Yeah,
if you get the sweet spot.
With the, what's it called? The down B where
yeah, revenge. Like revenge will kill you at 20. It doesn't even matter who you are.
Plus like clothesline by the ledge will kill at like 45. Maybe even lower. And it does like 70% damage, I think, for one hit, which is like the most damage output in a single move, aside from like probably some stupid circumstances. Like
like Roy neutral B, for sure.
Like Hero getting like some debuffs, and then like a fully charged Roy or Chrom neutral B.
Those are going to be doing a lot of damage. But like he has the opportunity to kill you at ridiculously low percents with revenge. Like there's no reason he can't do that. It's just hard for him not to get grabbed and for him not to get like outplayed immediately because of how slow his air game and ground game are. Like he has a really, really, really solid up air, one of the better ones in the game for sure. Because he is like that's a really, really, really quick up air for no reason on one of the slowest characters, right? But then again, he also is lacking everything that is the core idea of a good character. In my opinion, of course, because he doesn't have like combos that are good at stringing things. His matchups are not very good because, like I said, he can get outplayed by almost every character a little bit higher than him, and he struggles with range a lot too. Like he has his forward tilt, which is quick. Well, it's not quick, it just is long, but it has a lot of lag on it. So if you miss that, which is one of your only like ranged moves on the ground, then you're kind of screwed because he has a hurt box and everything else. And if you get outranged by a sword, then there's not really much you can do about it. And God knows there's a lot of sword characters in this game.
Yeah, I feel like Incineroar players' main game plan is just fish for revenge when the opponent's at around 40, and then fish for that side B. And that's really Incineroar's best option. His side B with revenge is very oppressive, but the issue is hitting it. And his frame data is just abysmal for most of his moves. I don't see any use for his neutral B, Darkest Lariat. There's just no point.
Oh no, hold on. Darkest Lariat is a really, really good just kill move. If you can like read an air dodge onto stage or something like that, or like a counter, you can kill off Darkest Lariat very quickly. And I believe like it is super slow. But if you like parry and you're able to land it, it has a really slow startup. It's kind of like on the ground it's what, like 15, 23 frame startup? I don't know. But it's still good enough that if you get a good read, then you can just straight up kill with it. It's a really, really quick move. Just, I don't think it's
I'm pretty
good
sure you can
overall.
SDI out of it, though.
Well, it's not a multi-hit move. It's one hit, and it hits hard. I'm more than positive.
Huh. I always thought it was a multi-hit, like Link's up B on stage or something like that.
No. It's one big hit move. But the thing is, if you shield the first hit, see, that's what makes it not very good at all. It's not always active. If you shield the first hit, right, then it'll kind of go through you for a little bit until his arm loops around and hits you again. Like, it's not always an active hitbox.
So like Wario down smash, but like a slightly better.
yeah, it kills quicker, but it's just
and has more than one hitbox.
It's kind of a janky move because if you shield it, then you can kind of just get a free grab, which is why it's more risk reward. But that doesn't matter because there's no situation in which you're consistently landing his kill move. Like, I'm not saying he doesn't have a lot of kill moves. He has the patented Cheeto fingers, which is down tilt at the ledge. You catch them and then you forward tilt. Cheeto fingers right there and they're gone, right? So that's a good like kill move, but other than that, there's no other circumstances in which you're landing a lot of Incineroar's moves that are quote unquote better.
Yeah, the issue that Incineroar has is that he's extremely slow on the ground, in the air. Slowest character in the game, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
He has a bad recovery, not necessarily the worst. I mean, he has 2 options that he can mix up with, or 3 considering air dodge. But he has his side B, which has like slight range, but you can still act out of that, which is nice. Some characters like Ganondorf, you can't act out of their side B for a while, so you can act out of this pretty quick. Up B has a very weird angle, so you're gonna have to line that up either really good to hit it on the like 45-degree angle down, or you're gonna have to be like right under the ledge and like kind of scoop it.
I mean, you can also gimp people by the one that like you get hit, and that's it. Like,
yeah, but you have to go down because you have
and
to like
you're off
stage for that.
If you're off stage, you're dead anyway. Like, his recovery, we barely even talked about. It's a good offensive option, maybe out of shield or something, but as a recovery move, goes directly down if you miss it by even a little bit. It's not a very good move.
I've had so many matches where I'm playing as Incineroar and I just completely whiff it by like 4 pixels, and it's the most frustrating thing.
It's really not a fun time.
Yeah, his moves are also just very laggy. He like taunts after all his moves, which is, I believe, adding to the lag. I believe that's still part of the move where he has like hits like he still is in lag. So it's just it's kind of pointless to like have that, because I mean, just looking at his smash attack frame data, he has 16 frames on his F smash, and then it's another 25 frames after it gets like out, and that's like extremely long for delay on an F smash comparing to other characters. It's because he taunts after like all his attacks, and I know they're trying to add like flair to this character or like give him character, but I don't know if that was necessarily the way to do it. They kind of gave him the Ken treatment where you give him like fire on his moves, or Roy, and then maybe that'd be cooler and viable.
Unfortunately, that is the case. I think it's time for us to hit our third furry of the day. We go from Isabelle to Incineroar and now to Lucario. We're on the furry train right now, boys. And we are going into Lucario, who just recently got buffed. Like, he did receive a couple of changes that were like meaningful. They tweaked the way his aura works. They made less landing lag when you use up B. His side B scales better with aura, and the biggest thing, I think, which is also very similar to Bowser Jr., was his down smash. It is like a little faster out of shield now. But I don't think they touched the core problem, which isn't really the speed of his moves. Well, most of them, yes, it is. But like, just he has a lack of range and hitboxes that don't really work together as one character. Like, his forward air is good, but it has kind of a weird hitbox that it's sort of hard to do that. His down air is a weird, inconsistent spike, and his back air is better because it's one big consistent move, right? But that's kind of a theme with Lucario, where all of his moves are just inconsistent, weird hitboxes that don't really have uses together. Like, in a vacuum, they're fine. But like, his nair is janky, his forward air is janky. His back air and up air, I'd say, are the most sort of consistent moves in a character that doesn't really have
more up airs and is a good anti-air, but I mean, aside from that, most of his moves aren't stringing into each other. There is some low percent jab or grab things you can do, but I mean, I don't know. it's just they need to make it so his moves actually work with each other, and you can like do fair into like a regrab or something. That'd be cool. Like how you could do it with Joker, where it sends at a good enough angle where your opponent's gonna be in a teching situation, and then you punish based on the tech. And he just needs almost a revamp. I mean, his moveset can stay the same, but the angling needs to be changed, and also how it scales with aura. You're gonna be hitting so much knockback when you're at like 120, 140% that no move's gonna lead into another move because you're launching your opponent so far, and that's also something you have to consider when playing Lucario. And I believe that's something that a lot of players like kind of fiend for almost when they're playing as Lucario, is just trying to get their percent racked up. Like they don't care if they're getting bodied because they're like, all right, I have a win condition. It's called letting me get to 120%, and now I have Rage plus Aura, which is quote unquote busted, but then you die because you're low midweight. So
yeah, he's not heavy enough to warrant going in for those all-in attack moves and surviving. But he also doesn't have he also doesn't have sound enough frame data to do any of that either. Like his specials are really bad. Aura Sphere is good because it's a huge thing that charges with Aura. Sure, his side B is good in super specific situations and it has a 24 frame startup. It's really really weird. And the same thing with his like up B. It's super inconsistent, and like if you miss the ledge by a little bit, you land on stage and you're screwed. You just get like
you have
punished by any move.
Brawl the way you want to get onto stage before it even comes out. Like you have to angle your stick and wiggle it around, and I don't know. It's kind of bad if you whiff because it's extremely frustrating. Because you're either gonna miss the ledge and SD, or you're gonna go onto stage and then your opponent gets a fat smash attack or grab or whatever they want to do to punish you.
Yeah, it's not. His kit is just so weird as one character. It's inconsistent. It's janky, and it's not sound like at all. I do think he is better than characters like Ganondorf and like Mac because he is overall better than them in terms of like the ability to play the game, because he has more chances to recover with his up B. He has better zoning with his neutral B, and his aura scale is something like, no matter how people say like, oh, it doesn't really work because you die super early, he is light. It doesn't matter because you are able to just get forward smash reads and kill at like 20% if you're lucky. So you're just gonna have to learn to play the character differently than you would play most characters and kind of learn around his kit. It is challenging, but I do think that someone like Lucario has a brighter future than other players or other characters like Isabelle and Mac and Ganondorf.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I could see this character being pushed. I think he needs an upgrade to his kit in terms of angling, specifically, like I said before. But really, Lucario can be described as basically a combination of Greninja and Samus, even though Greninja obviously came out after Lucario. But it's Greninja and Samus combined with this mechanic where you're dealing loads of knockback when you're at higher percents. You basically have like stacked rage. So, I mean, yes, in theory, this character sounds really good, but they took aspects of both Greninja's and Samus's kits and made it so they didn't lead into each other well. Like you said, the fairs don't really lead into anything. I mean, the back air and up air are probably his most sound options, and I believe if they give him some options with regrab combos or like aerials that go into each other, or like better setups for more consistent like aerials or kill aerials and stuff like that, then yes, this character will be good. But until we see that patch, I think this character stays in low tier. But I could see it easily shooting up to a high tier or high mid tier with a proper buff.
Definitely. I think Lucario has a brighter future ahead of them. And I do think there are low tiers like Lucario that are good for the reason that they are good counterpick characters. Like overall, I do think Lucario could do good against bigger characters like Donkey Kong who have slower frame data. but then again, there isn't much use case for him. But I think past this point, when we reach, I think a lot of these characters are good as just counterpick characters.
Yeah.
Like maybe like the last two, I think, are really good as maybe playing on their own, or the last three, I believe, are good solo mains. But this upcoming one here, Meta Knight, is a really, 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 really good counterpick character. He's not a good person to main. He has a very linear game plan. He's going to go for those up air combos. But I think if you don't know the matchup and you don't know how to SDI properly out of a lot of his moves, then you're going to suffer. He's just going to carry you off stage and he's going to hit you, and you're not going to know what to do, because Meta Knight, if you don't know the matchup, then you just get absolutely bodied by this character. It's something that gives him more redeeming qualities, but doesn't really fix a lot of the core problems with him.
Yeah, I think Meta Knight, in his case, he was so oppressive and so good in Brawl that I think Sakurai wants that to never happen again with the character he made. He made the Kirby series, and I just feel that character is not going to see anywhere close to high or top tier really ever again, just due to how much he like reigned supreme in Brawl and basically ruined the meta in that game. But Meta Knight's just, I don't know, he has stuff, like you said, if you don't know the matchup. But if you do know the matchup, which most competitive people or top players or even your average tourney goer knows this matchup and knows how to SDI properly and knows how to just bait out this attack and boom, punish, because Meta Knight is pretty laggy in certain situations when he's going for aerials. So I mean, it's all about matchup knowledge with Meta Knight. That makes him so bad, but he's definitely a very good like counter pick or like kind of surprise character for sure.
He has a lot of really, really good moves. His up B, really good. It's a kill option. Like if you gave Mario Meta Knight up B, Mario would be more broken than he already is. Like, he has a lot of moves that make him a really, really good character. And he has drag down combos. He has like fair, he has back air, but he has this tiny, tiny little sword. He doesn't have any range, like, at all. And I know he has some combos, but half the time it's not going to work. And other than that, there's no like kill option. I think his biggest thing is kill option. You're not going to be catching good players with an up B. You're not going to be catching good players off stage with a neutral B or a side B. And if you do, and you whiff it, then you either get punished or you just straight up die. Off stage, you whiff a tornado, you're dead. Up B, you whiff an up B, or in the air, you whiff an up B, then they can fast fall, and if they're a fast character like Fox, they can up smash and you're dead. He's super, super light. He has no range. He just has combos that are easy to SDI out of and are not as consistent as someone like Sheik, who is light, but still has these combos that guarantee you to death. Like, Meta Knight has a lot of moves that in theory would kill you, and a lot of like frame data that is sound. Like, he has one of the best forward smashes in the game, period. But that's in a vacuum. Honestly, he's not going to be landing these combos because of their lack of consistency. And even when that's the case, the best, more skilled player and other character, like, I'll point back to the Mario again, that it's just, you get outclassed in every way. He's a good counterpick character, but with no range and like no weight whatsoever, then he's just overall not a good character.
Yeah, it's like the Bayonetta situation right now. You can rack up percent, sure, but killing, that's very hard for Meta Knight. I mean, yes, you can combo into an up B, you can combo into a neutral B, but top players or good players know how to just avoid these. It's pretty obvious when you're trying to set up for one of these kills and you just SDI out of it or just don't get hit by it. And that's pretty easy to do against Meta Knight. Yeah, Meta Knight does have redeeming qualities, like you said. He is the 14th fastest character in the game. But I mean, it's just the fact, like you said, he's outclassed in basically every aspect. Like, ladder combo characters, CSS, Mario are just better. Like these kind of like aerial based characters, you got so many better characters than Meta Knight, in my opinion. And it just hinders them that there's these better characters in the game. Like Palutena just has a better aerial game than Meta Knight. And there's no reason to play Meta Knight when Palutena is in the game, or when Joker's in the game, or Mario, or ZSS. And that's what makes this character bad. He's just bad considering what we already have in the roster.
Definitely. He's the lack of kill setups, his weight, his reach is a really big thing, and a lot of his moves just kind of don't combo together. Like, a lot of his moves don't mean anything. Like, up tilt is really bad. Back air is only used for certain, like, specific drag down combos, but I don't really think there's anything to push this character to make him any better. He's a good counterpick character, don't get me wrong, but a lot of his moves kind of just don't make sense together, and his lack of weight is a big problem, because if you want to be a character that can go out there and go do stuff, you have to be ready to get punished and take the hit.
You know what would make Meta Knight a solid mid-tier or higher?
What?
Just a kill throw. Making back throw just kill at 130.
Back throw does kill. Just
doesn't kill early enough.
Later.
It's just late. And if you could get in and get a back throw that kills at 120, 125, 130 even, this character definitely shoots up. But you're not killing with throws until like mid 155s. And I mean, well, depending on the matchup, obviously you're going to launch a P2 way earlier than you're going to launch a K roll. But he just needs a kill throw, in my opinion, and then that gives him almost a burst option that kills. Or maybe give him like Charizard up smash treatment. That might be nice.
It's just harder to rely on throws as consistent kill options, because if someone knows that your kill option is a throw, and they know that you're going to fish for that at high percents, then they're just going to zone you. Even if they can't zone you, they'll run. Like, you can't rely on a kill throw like to be your end.
It would definitely boost him, though. I think we can both agree on that.
Yeah, no, it would make him
this
good.
Extra kill option would definitely help him.
You can still kill with up throw, like on top plats, and you can still kill with back throw. Just not like he just requires more than that, I think, to become a more solid character than just that.
I believe we'll see more Meta Knight stuff in the future if he gets buffed. I believe MKLeo started playing him
a little while ago. He did run him in the squad strike. In the squad strike lineup, he did run a little bit of Meta Knight.
Yeah, and I mean, if MKLeo picks up Meta Knight, then yes, this character will move up in the tier list. I think Leo can do that single-handedly, move the character up in the tier list, because Leo's such a good player. But until we see either top player representation or like a better up smash, like that kills, like up smash out of shield like Charizard, or a better kill throw, or a combination of the two, or better setups in general, I don't see Meta Knight being viable until one of those things happens, which honestly one patch could make this character good, and I would be all for that, having Meta Knight as a mid-tier, because Meta Knight's a cool character.
I want him desperately to be good, because I love playing Meta Knight. But I think we're going to move on from here to
Funny Sands.
No. With a heavy heart, I come to say that I think out of this bottom 10, the 7th worst character is Mii Sword Fighter. He is not good. He has his... Okay, so let me tell you about the variation I use. I believe I mentioned this way more in depth on this character in episode 1. And I use Hero Spin Up B, which was just changed to be a little more consistent.
It is not any more consistent than it was before.
Exactly the same. We were playing, and it has not changed even a little bit.
They probably made like hit 3 to hit 4 work better, but definitely not the last hit. You still fall out of it.
It does not work. So I use Hero Spin Up B, I use Chakram, Tornado, and I use Counter, but I'm thinking of switching to Reflector.
I'm trying to convince him to switch it to Reflector.
So what I'm saying is, this character has like the ability to change their moveset. Like, that's really cool. They should make them really good. But he is so very slow. One of the slowest characters. And when you only rely on like back air, up air, and tornado up B to kill, then you're putting too much of a crutch on these moves that aren't consistently good. Tornado's a big hitbox. It hits under the ledge. But it unfortunately can be shielded, and there's a lot of lag to it. So if you use it often, then you're just going to get punished very quickly. It's a similar story with a lot of his smash attacks, like his forward smash, very, very slow. Up smash, very, very slow. Down air or down smash, not consistent enough to net any kills. There's not a lot of things that make this character good, but there are still some redeeming qualities. He has very, very rarely forward air drag downs. His up air kills very, very early. Tornado, obviously good projectile. Chakram, one of the better side Bs in the game, I think. Being able to like stall it and then have it catch opponents on landing is really, really good, and on ledge get up too. So Chakram is really good for setting up into combos, but overall, this character being so slow in not only their frame data, like on the startup of Tornado being 20 frames, but like the down air having so much recovery between landing. It's out for a couple frames, but it has like 18 frames of landing lag, and he just doesn't have enough burst kill options that will reliably kill you while in a neutral position, not depending on something else to happen, to be a good character. He has to rely on catching you in the air with an up air or a back air, or getting really lucky and landing a tornado and praying hero spin will connect. It's really hard to have a burst option that doesn't immediately rely on something else to do its job and kill.
Yeah, I believe we talked about Mii Sword heavily in episode 1. Probably like a 10-minute segment on Mii Sword specifically. If you want to like go check that out, it's more in detailed. But I think Mii Sword's issue, same with a lot of these characters, it's just he's outclassed. He's meant to be a cookie cutter of this sword type, and I feel like he's just worse Link. Honestly, that's what Mii Sword Fighter is. With different things, like you said, Tornado, but it's in my opinion, it's worse Link or worse like of these zony sword characters. Tink, Link, Yink are the ones that immediately come to my head. Yeah, mainly them, but there's just, I know you are a diehard Mii Sword, but
unfortunately, yes, this is what I got stuck with.
I personally don't think he's very viable. Of course, you have had results with him, but at a very, very top level, he gets outclassed extremely by characters like Joker, Link, Palutena, just extremely outclassed, and there's nothing you can do about it because he's just meant to be kind of this average character. He's a Mii. And I don't see any Mii being good, but unfortunately for you,
Mii Brawler's top tier, hidden top tier.
Yeah,
Mii Brawler.
Yeah, Mii Brawler is definitely being slept on, in my opinion. I think a lot of people are starting to see that, but unfortunately for you, Mii Sword Fighter is the worst out of the 3 Miis.
Definitely.
But we can have Minecraft Pig body with Sans head, so that's cool.
Nice, awesome. That's so cool.
Or Creeper body.
No, even worse. That is so cursed. I hate it so much.
It's absolutely cursed. But yeah, Mii Sword is just a case of getting outclassed and just having bad frame data and stuff like that. We definitely touched on that in episode 1 heavily.
All right. Before I go on a tangent about Mii Sword Fighter for the next 2.5 hours, I think we'll move on to the final 2 characters in our bottom 10.
I think we can honestly have a whole episode just dedicated to Mii Sword Fighter. We already kind of did. But
I would absolutely do that.
Yeah,
we did talk about other characters there, but I think
too many Miis. We have too many top tiers, too many Miis.
Perfect. So anyway, we're going to move on to the final 2 characters on our list here.
Yeah, we'll move to the small children.
We have Ice Climbers in our number 9 spot. Now, I know Ice Climbers just got buffed, like recently, and I know it's really good for up B is much, much more consistent now and actually being able to get into the ledge. Nana will respond better. I believe it was dash attack what works a little better now, same with up air. And those are really, really solid changes. But Ice Climbers suffers from much of the same thing that almost every character on this tier list, or bottom tier list, relies on. And they have slow frame data, lots of kill power, but overall they're very, very slow. They have decent frame data in some of their moves, but then again, some of their fastest moves are their aerials. And they rely on a lot of things to get kills. They just don't really get raw, straight-up kills. I don't know if we're super qualified to be talking on Ices because we don't know all those amazing decent combos that I think like more experienced Ice Climbers
Stay
players like
tuned
Big
for
D
next
have.
episode.
Exactly. So I think it's better to kind of analyze this character the way they are with more of a specialist, someone who has either more of a belief in this character or has labbed out much more of this character.
Yeah, I know everyone's seen Ice Climber combos. There's so many insane things you can do with Ice Climbers, with desync, with just all of these shenanigans with like pre-putting inputs in. And I mean, character could be viable, but it's extremely difficult, and I don't think either of us are anywhere close to qualified to talk about Ice Climbers at the level they deserve to be spoken about. So that's why we do have a special guest. I know you name dropped him earlier, but he's coming onto the podcast next episode, and we're very excited for that. But Ice Climbers are, I believe, just extremely underrepresented. I believe it was like Shulk in the beginning of the game, where everyone's like, yeah, this character's probably good, but like too much work. But to more of a degree where this character can't get as good, I believe there's a lower ceiling and much more work. So, yeah.
Definitely. I think we're going to need to be seeing a lot more Ice Climbers before we can really start to take into account every little bit of this character's moveset. Because they got some sauce. Sure. They got a lot of stuff, but they're also lacking a lot of things that just make a top tier character, period.
Yeah, there's 5 to 6 more years in Ultimate's meta, so we can see Ice Climbers evolve heavily through then. Obviously, wobbling wasn't discovered right away in Melee or Brawl. Or in Brawl it was chain grabbing, but it's basically the same thing. And there's stuff that's undiscovered. They're discovering new stuff on a monthly basis with Ice Climbers. There's always new stuff on Twitter.
There always is.
Yeah. Ice Climbers just going to continue to get better and better. But until we see this like mastery of a character, like we have Big D as the best Ice Climbers in the world, arguably. Probably not arguably. He's definitely the best Ice Climbers in the world. But until we see him like absolutely steamrolling people to like the level of like H-Box in Melee during like when he was reigning supreme, where he was just absolutely steamrolling every tournament he would go to with Puff, we're not going to see Ice Climbers move up much in the tier list. But there's definitely viability
that seems
there.
To be the case for now, yeah. Unfortunately, that is what's happening.
So we've talked about the e-girls, or we've talked about the furries and the small children. No, so let's get into the final character, the e-girl of the list, Zelda.
Yeah, up at the final spot of our bottom 10. Definitely, I think here, Ices and Zelda, we can kind of start to talk about like actually being good characters that can work from there, because I think me, Sword Fighter, and Behind are characters that don't work, like they don't make sense as a character. I feel like they sort of lost characters.
Yeah, they all have bad kits, basically. But these characters have viable kits.
Yeah, once you hit Ices and Zelda, I think there is a lot of stuff that like they knew what they were doing. They just have to, like, these are characters you can save by just fixing some frame data. Like I know Zelda got much better with their forward tilt that's so quick, 12 frames, and kills super early if you hit the sweet spot. Zelda has a really good up air, good spike, up tilt is quick. They have a lot of things that make them good, but I think as a zoner, they do lack a lot of things that make zoners good. Some of their only close range attacks are the aforementioned forward tilt. Her smash attacks are pretty like slow, so there's not much you can do. Down tilt is not going to do anything. Up tilt will maybe lead into an up air. But if you get up close on Zelda and she isn't able to zone you, then she's not going to land the sweet spot of forward air and back air every single time. She's not going to land an up air if she's right in front of you. So she kind of just gets bodied by some characters that do better than, to either do her job better or are complete counterplay to her zoning style. I don't think that she has enough to warrant her having as many good matchups as a lot of the characters above her in mid-tier.
Yeah, there's definitely better zoners in the game, like Samus, even Mewtwo is a better zoner. But The thing that's like lacking in her zoning kit per se is her side B is extremely slow. I mean, her knight ability is really good, also pretty slow, and obvious it's going to be coming out because you got to charge it, like not like charge shot where you can passively charge it. You have to sit there and hold the knight there for it to get stronger, and your opponent's like, all right, let me just hard shield this or just get out of the way of it. There is stuff there with Zelda in zoning, but they would have to make both of these options better for her to be classified as that zoner type of character. But I feel like she's like trying to be a zoner, but isn't quite there, but can't be like rush down aerial character either. She's kind of in between on both of those, and they kind of have to make her deviate towards one of those for her to have viability, in my opinion.
And I think she's going to become more of a zoner because she does have a get off me with neutral B, but it's all of her moves are meant to be zoning and counter zoning with her projectile reflector. So
yeah, she's just worse Palutena, honestly.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that don't make her as solid as I think she should be, but she really, really is a character that I can see getting better with just a few changes. You have someone like Ven, who is religiously mains this character, has pushed them to where they are, like, not being bad at all. Like, they're obviously a good character. Every character I think past me Sword Fighter are good, viable characters. But I just think that they need to change just a few things. Maybe a better get off me option, make them a little bit faster, and just kind of stick. Are you going to be a zoner or counter zoner character? And then you're set, and then you have a good archetyped character.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Zelda just needs to choose which one she wants to be. She can't be both. Mm-hmm. She's not Palutena. She can't be both.
Definitely.
But that's how we see Palutena being a good character, because it takes both of these aspects that Zelda's met at and becomes good at both of them. Really good at both of them.
For sure.
So I believe Zelda is just low due to it being outclassed by Samus, by Palutena, and by other characters she's trying to be, but isn't there yet. But yeah, with any of these characters, really, not so much the like lower end of this list, but the higher end, one buff, one good patch, and these characters are viable now. I believe Ice Climbers and Zelda are viable on their own, but overall, this list is mainly characters that you're only going to really be seeing at tournaments. Either a die-hard main, like you, with Me Sword, but you also have Palutena to supplement that, or you're going to see this as a obscure counter pick / like secondary or tertiary pick, just to cover matchups that perhaps their main or secondary can't handle.
Definitely. And I think with that, that's probably going to end up where we're going to end up leaving it off.
Yep.
We hit 10, our bottom 10. And I think this is something we thought about for a little while, especially taking into consideration some of the stuff with the new patch that really changed a few of these characters, but
it took Bowser Jr. off this list and put Zelda on the list.
It did.
Bowser Jr. would have been probably number 9, number 10 on this list.
Definitely.
But it took Bowser Jr. off the list. So honestly, any sort of patch for 10.0, 11.0 in the future, we can see any of these characters moving around.
Oh yeah, and drastically too. You can see like
Game & Watch
sure moved all the way to top tier.
Yeah, we saw Meister overnight become a top player just because his character became insane.
Mm-hmm. But and I think
that's where we should wrap it up.
We'll end up on there. We are about out of time for this week's episode of the podcast. Once again, got to finish up with the shameless plug. Please make sure to give us a 5-star review. Check out Instagram. We also have a Twitter we're starting to push a little bit more. And also
link in our bio of our Instagram for everything that you would ever need.
Got a big link tree, merch, 5-star reviews, Discord, everything you could want. So any parting notes, AirPods?
I think that's about it. Thanks Sakurai for Bowser Jr.'s buffs.
Thanks Sakurai.
Honestly, they're equal at this point. But on that note, I've been your host, AirPods.
And I've been your co-host, Django.
Peace!